Oh, what's up again there, guys? Brian here, the Three Topics Gamer here, giving you another episode of my weekly Q&A titled "The People's Questions Were Answers," a series of questions that have been sent to me over the past week. This episode is definitely going to be a bit longer than last week, which was a very short episode. There were a number of questions from a bunch of different people, and there's even a couple questions here that are a bit off, at least to me. But like always, if you know you sent in the question in the last episode and you don't hear it in the video, then just check your notifications or just check the comment section of the last video, because chances are that's where I answered your question there. And if you happen to enjoy this video by the end, do not forget to give this video a thumbs up and press the subscribe button. You happen to see more content like this one. And if you heard just a little noise in the back, that's weird. My air conditioning just turned on, so I can start feeling it. And the first question comes from Brady Burke. He wants to know, is there any hope for the future of Star Wars moving forward? As long as Kathleen Kennedy has nothing to do with it, then sure. I think there's a lot of talented people that are involved in Star Wars that can really give it the direction it needs, but not under her guidance. Get her as far away from Star Wars as possible, or if that, put her in a position where she doesn't have any creative control. If she wants to stay on as just as a producer who just contributes money and maybe gives a couple of ideas, but they don't actually go with any of those ideas, then sure. But we've seen what Star Wars has been under her control, and it is not a good thing. It is not good. I do not support it in any way. There have been things that have come out in this era that I do enjoy, but I don't think it had anything to do with her direction. So as long as it stays away from her and you get the right people in charge and they are passionate about wanting to make sure Star Wars is as good as it can be, then yes, I do think that Star Wars does have a future. Next question comes from Shaheen Grimes Gokutsun. You want to know, am I familiar with the game series named Life is Strange, and am I a fan? I'm familiar with it, but I'm not. I never played it. I'm not really a fan of tall tale games, to be blunt. I've never played any of their games. I know that they're very story driven, and that should be right up my alley, but the themes that they've gone on with are just franchises that I'm just not all that interested in. I think they did a Batman game, but it wasn't like a Batman game that I was really interested in. So yes, I am familiar with Life is Strange, but I wasn't a fan of it. Next question comes from the Batman of Gotham, and you want to know, are there some aspects about the PlayStation 5 that piqued my interest the most, and why? Not really. It's just another console. It's just another PlayStation console. If it plays just like the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 3, then I won't really have any problems with it. So, no, nothing in particular. I'm just hope it works and it's worth the price. And heck, maybe they'll give us a price and official release date. That's what I want. Next question comes from Shadow DCS Gaming. You want to know, do I think that J.K. Rowling is going to sell Harry Potter because of all the hate she's been getting, like Lucas did? Probably not. I mean, no. I mean, the woman likes to make money, so no. I mean, at this point, I'd be happy if they didn't do anything with Harry Potter for the next 10 or 15 years, and they just let it run its own course until, people start to forget about it, and then they gotta do something in order to get people's interest back into it again. But no, I seriously doubt she'll give it up. Next question comes from Will Williams. You want to know, what is the funniest thing I saw at my workplace? Funniest... Well, I don't know about funny, but it was like... What was it? It wasn't funny, but it was entertaining because it was the closest thing I'd ever... Okay, let me explain what happened. Okay, as some of you guys know, I work at a bowling alley. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that Flavor Flav usually likes to come into my bowling alley a lot. I see him maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And when we have Cosmic Nights, which are... pretty much is when the lights come off and the lasers and the lights are just going all over the place. We have these projection screens, and we have like 6 of them, and they're huge. And we play music videos on them. So when he was in one night, just for the hell of it, I was curious to see, I was like, what if we put a Flavor Flav song on while he's actually here? Like, I'm curious what would happen. And I told him, and I told the front desk to do it, and he did that, and it was... I think Flavor actually kind of started performing it, like he was actually kind of into it as the music video was playing, and it was kind of dark, so if you didn't know he was there, you wouldn't know, but I know where he was, and so I could kind of see him just kind of being into it while he was bowling, and he's actually a really good bowler, so that wasn't funny, but that was like, wow, this is kind of like the closest thing that I could get to than seeing a live performance of his. But he's here with his group, and it was cool. He's really cool. He's cool. He's cool to meet, and yeah, he's pretty awesome. Yeah, he's really nice too. But I would say that's probably the most entertaining thing that I've seen. But in terms of funniness, that's maybe in that same realm. But I would say that was definitely entertaining to see. I never tried that again a second time after that. But just to see what would happen, I thought it was pretty cool. Next question comes from, and the last question comes from. Okay, this is the question that I thought was weird. And it comes from a newer person, and I think you go by the name of PlaystationLazarus, which is an interesting name. But this is what's weird about this question, because it's a complicated question, but there's so much detail that's missing that I don't even know how to answer it. But here it goes. You wanted to know if I could form my own Metal Gear Solid quote terrorist faction, which members from the existing groups would have had in series would you include and why? I don't understand the question. Okay, one, there's several problems with this question. Number one, why the hell would I want to form a terrorist faction? What is my goal here? You're not telling, like, to be a terrorist is to inflict terror on somebody. There are no terrorist factions here. There are PMCs or mercenary groups, but not terrorists. They call these people terrorists that are kidnapping people, but they're not really terrorists. So that's the issue. There are no technical terrorists in Metal Gear Solid. They might take people hostage, sure, but they're not terrorists. The Sons of Liberty are not terrorists. The Foxhound unit are not terrorists. The Cobras are not terrorists. So they use that word to make them seem worse than they are, but I can assure you, they are not terrorists. That's the first issue. Number two, members from existing groups. I don't know what you mean by existing groups. You mean like Foxhound and you mean like the B&B unit, or the Sons of the Patriot, or the Sons of Liberty, or Foxhound, or the Cobras? And then you want me to say which one would I include and why? Well, the problem is that you can't really pick any one member and put them with another person, because that's not how they were trained. You can't take a member from the Cobras and take a member from Foxhound and take a member from the Sons of Liberty and take a member from the B&B and put them together. That's not how they work. These are very, very, very vastly different groups. I mean, I guess in some sense they might have some similarities, like in the case of the Cobras, I guess each unit kind of has a little bit of has like a sniper, but they're a sniper that works well in the context of the group that they are most associated with. So someone like the End would not work very well with someone like Vamp from the Sons of Liberty, and would not work well with like Laughing Mantis. It's just too weird, and the fact that, what the hell makes you think that they would follow my lead? And again, none of these people are terrorists. So that in itself kind of invalidates the question, because to say terrorist faction, there are no terrorist factions in Metal Gear. I'm sorry. And you can't take members from, and some of these characters are dead. And some of these characters were dead before other characters were even born. Like, all the Cobras are dead, so you can't just take them one at a time and put them together. So I'm real sorry, PlaystationLazarus. I really don't have an answer to your question, because the question by nature is wrong. Because just even even if you wanted to, even if you had some sort of time machine and you decided, well, I'll just take these type of characters, by removing these characters, you mess up a lot of things in the timeline. A lot of things would not happen if you remove certain characters, and they wouldn't. I mean, you can't just force them to work together. They would be like, "What the hell are we doing here?" It's like, I don't know. It's like, okay, who's this person? Why is that like girl in a suit in this gigantic mech. I'm like, it's just weird. I mean, don't get me wrong. Metal Gear Solid has a lot of weirdness, but they kind of keep these different styles of weirdness separate for a reason. You don't just mash them all together, because then you just have a mess. And trust me, there's enough messiness in Metal Gear Solid, and we don't need to add enough to it than there already is. So that's the best I could do, Mr. PlayStation Lazarus. So yeah, that question really threw me for a bit of a whirl. And that is the last question of the episode. So I'd like to thank the 6 of you who's happened to send in your questions I was able to answer for this video, as well as everyone else who hopefully sent in your questions for the last episode. If you guys would like me to answer a question for next week's episode, be sure to type them in the comments down below, but make sure you get them into me roughly before Wednesday noon, and make sure it's only 1 question per person. Other than that, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you next week.